Hello and welcome to HT Auto. My name is Samir Contractor and we are in sunny Goa to ride something that not only borrows its name from this state but also its ethos. What you're looking at is the new Royal Enfield Goan Classic 350, the motorcycle maker's newest motorcycle based on the J series platform and a bobber style bike based on the Classic 350. So is this just style or there is some substance to it? That's what we are here to find out, and let's tell you more about it. Royal Enfield has a history of customization when it comes to its motorcycles. Well, with bobbers, it first started in the late 40s where the war machines would be chopped off to make into bobbers by army veterans and customers alike in the UK. It kind of evolved into a more custom scene in Goa where customers would rent or buy these Royal Enfields and then they would customize it to what they liked on the motorcycle. So paint schemes, handlebars, you name it, all of that would happen. Now the new Goan Classic kind of pays homage to that as a factory custom motorcycle. What you see here is a lot of changes compared to the standard Classic 350. The handlebar is a new monkey style ape handlebar, so it's about 100 mm taller. The seat has gone down by 55 mm, so it's 750 mm in seat height, and the wheelbase itself has been increased by 10 mm. So that's because the rear subframe has changed slightly. The fender is more chopped over here, so what you see is more room over here for the bobber style seat. What you do get is the rider seat and the pillion seat on the motorcycle, but this is easily detachable that you see on this bike over here for this clean bobber look. However, for homologation reasons, Royal Enfield will give you a pillion seat as standard, and that brings a lot of practicality to what the Goan Classic 350 is. The Goan Classic 350 is a motorcycle that demands a prominent parking spot to let you admire its lines more often. The build and paint are fantastic, and so is the detailing. The different paint schemes bring more individuality to the bike. The purple haze adds a 70s flair, while the trip teal with the orange highlights will remind you of the Classic 500. The rave red color brings a more stylized look, but if you want to keep things simple, the shag black shade brings an understated appeal. Royal Enfield has also added a sturdier clamp to the handlebar, while a new bracket is placed on the rear fender with the brand name. The fenders and exhaust have been slashed, keeping up with the theme of the motorcycle. The final piece of the retro styling comes from the white wall tires with the tubeless spoke wheels, a first for any J series motorcycle and possibly the most affordable bike to get the same. The Goan Classic runs on 19-inch front and a smaller 16-inch rear wheel setup to complete the bobber look. The bike carries the same suspension setup as the standard Classic 350. You get telescopic forks up front, you get twin shock absorbers at the rear. The travel on both ends is also the same. So when you compare say the Java Perak, which is a very authentic style of a bobber motorcycle, or even the Java 42 bobber, this one is definitely a lot more comfortable, and that's something that really sets it apart because it comes from a standard classic format. It doesn't have to do with the lesser travel that you see normally on bobber motorcycles, and in that sense this is a far more comfortable motorcycle compared to say a Perak or in the 42 bobber. What it does differently is of course the ergonomics. Like I said, the handlebar is different and so is the seat. So when you see the ergonomics, you sit very differently when compared to the Classic 350. The foot pegs are forward set, the seat is much lower and the handlebar is much higher. So this is a fairly different riding position compared to that. On short rides, this actually feels nice. It's nice and wide, quite comfortable, and there's ample room for you. You also sit a little more apart because of the wider positioning overall, and that makes it very different from where the Classic feels. However, for long rides, it might be a slightly cumbersome ride because of how the setup is. It's not the most comfortable setup like the center set foot pegs on the Classic 350, and that shows because on long rides I think it looks very nice to ride this. You want to be seen on a motorcycle like this, but it's not the most comfortable setup. We've been doing about 50 kilometers today so far. We plan to do a little more than that later, and for the first 30 or 40 kilometers it was nice and comfortable, but then it gets cumbersome after a time. The suspension isn't as much of an issue as the contouring of the single seat. The riding position isn't the most comfortable for long hours, and much of the pressure goes to your back. The ride quality is supple and the bike absorbs undulations without much fuss. However, you will feel the bumps, especially at the rear, once the road gets patchy. Now, because the Goan Classic 350 is based on the Classic 350, it gets the same engine, same power and torque figures and the same gearbox with the same ratios as well. That's a very good thing because I like the way the Classic 350 rides. Nimble, tractable motor and very easy to ride. Those qualities have been transferred to the Goan Classic 350 as well. So at no point do you feel strained while riding this, and that's the whole point, right? For a motorcycle like this, you want to go slow, you want to be seen riding this, and you really want to look cool while doing it. Please wear your gear when you do it though. And that's the whole point. Nice tractable motor, sounds brilliant, has the right amount of power, the mid-range is absolutely fantastic, and low end tractability. There's absolutely little to complain when it comes to these aspects of the motorcycle. The J series engine has been really fantastic, be it the Meteor, be it the Classic, be it the Bullet, and now this. All of them work really well. And I have to say, with the whole idea of a motorcycle that is supposed to go slow, go easy on everything, the Goan Classic 350 just brings out a different ethos overall. And I do like that theme because when you're in Goa, you want to be on a slightly chill mode, a slightly vacation oriented mode, and this is the motorcycle I would like to come here, rent, ride around, maybe take some pictures on it, and definitely be seen on. And that's something that this bike achieves really well. High-speed stability is decent, and the motorcycle keeps things composed between 80 and 90 kilometers per hour. That's also where the motor finds its sweet spot, especially out on the highway. Braking performance is decent, although the front brake lever could do with more feedback. Based on the top spec Classic 350, the new Goan Classic gets all LED lighting, adjustable levers, and a digital readout with a fuel gauge, gear indicator and trip meters. There are multiple accessories available in typical RE fashion to further customize the bike. The Goan Classic is less about long distance touring and more about riding to the nearest shack and looking good when doing so. It's the nonchalant behavior, a vibe very few motorcycles can imbibe so well. Should you get the Goan Classic 350? Well, that's a question you have to answer when you compare it to the Classic 350. That motorcycle is an all-rounder. It will do everything you ask for and then some. This one though is more about style. It's more about wanting to be seen and wanting to really enjoy your time on a motorcycle. I wouldn't recommend this for longer distances, but for shorter distances, I think it makes a lot of sense and for a lot of stride. The Classic 350 is the brand's bread and butter model. It's their best seller, and this one takes things forward. It has its own identity, and maybe that's what the customer wants. If you are looking for something that has its own identity with the comfort and the familiarity of the Classic 350, the Goan Classic is something that you should be considering very seriously. That was our story of the new Goan Classic 350. Let us know what you think about the motorcycle in the comment section below, and do drop in your thoughts of this review too. And as we always say, helmets on a two-wheeler, seatbelts in a car. My name is Samir Contractor. This is HT Auto. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.